Hey guys, tonight we're stepping into the quiet warmth of a holiday morning. You're surrounded by the soft glow of Christmas lights, the smell of cinnamon rolls baking in the oven, and the muffled clink of mugs being filled with hot cocoa. Snow is falling outside. Thick, slow flakes that stick to the window like tiny frozen stars. You're still half asleep, bundled in a blanket on the living room carpet, waiting for something magical to happen. And it does. Just not in the way you'd expect. You're about 8, maybe 9, and this Christmas feels like all the others, until it doesn't. Your dad is moving slower than usual this morning. Not quite himself. He jokes less, smiles less, and sips his coffee as if it's the only thing tethering him to the moment. Still, you don't notice at first. You're too busy eyeing the gifts under the tree, wondering if that weird-shaped one with the red bow might be yours. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe. But only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And let me know where you're watching from and what time it is there. I always love hearing that. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. The morning unspools slowly, like a snow globe settling after a shake. Your dad hands out gifts, with his usual flair. A dramatic drum roll here, a fake, oops, I dropped it there, but something's off. He keeps glancing at your mom like he's trying to memorize her. There's a quietness to him, like he's rehearsing a goodbye no one else can hear. When it's your turn, he pulls out a box wrapped in paper covered with goofy cartoon penguins. It's not the flashiest gift. In fact, it feels light. Too light. You tear it open, expecting socks or a book, and instead find a toy. A little wind-up tin robot, painted bright blue with silver arms and a stiff little grin. You've never seen it before, and it doesn't seem like something a kid your age would love. But he watches you with such intensity as you hold it. You pretend to be thrilled. His name's Marvin, your dad says. He's tougher than he looks. You don't get it. You laugh politely and move on to your next present, but he just keeps looking at you, smiling like that toy was the whole point. Later, after the eggnog and the leftovers and the terrible family board game marathon, your dad sits beside you. He doesn't say much, just ruffles your hair like always and tells you he's proud of you. And that's it. No grand speech, no life-changing advice, just I'm proud of you, kid. It sticks with you. A week later, he's gone. A sudden collapse, a diagnosis that came too late. The world tilts. And Marvin, that little blue toy, he ends up on a shelf, then in a drawer, then forgotten entirely. But that's not where the story ends. Years trickle by like soft rain on a windshield, sometimes slow, sometimes rushing. You grow. You swap cartoons for headphones, juice boxes for coffee, and Marvin, sweet forgotten Marvin, ends up buried in a dusty box with a jumble of broken action figures and tangled cords. Life demands attention elsewhere. You're a teenager now, and like most teenagers, you become an expert at forgetting the softness of your childhood. You roll your eyes at nostalgia, stash the photo albums under your bed, and you really try not to cry in front of anyone, ever. Your dad is now a photograph on the mantle, his laugh a fading echo in your head. But one afternoon, while looking for an old charger, or maybe that hoodie you thought you lost, your hand brushes something sharp in the back of the closet. It's cold, metal, and stubborn. You pull it out. It's Marvin. His blue paint is chipped, his wind-up key rusty, but his eyes still stare straight ahead with that permanent tin grin. You hesitate, then wind him up. He wobbles forward 2 clumsy steps before freezing mid-stride like he just forgot what he was doing. It's ridiculous, and suddenly you're laughing. Actually laughing. For the first time in months, Marvin doesn't do much. But he does just enough to remind you of something important. Your dad once gave you a silly little toy and told you it was tough. And now, you sort of understand. That same night, you dig through your dad's old drawer, the one nobody's really touched. There, tucked behind his last pair of reading glasses and a bundle of dried-out pens, you find a note. Handwritten. Addressed to you. It's short. A few lines at most. If you're reading this, I probably didn't get to say goodbye the way I want it. But that toy, Marvin, that's my message. Life's gonna wind you up, knock you down, and leave you rusting. But even if you're dented and weird and kinda loud, you keep moving. Got it, champ? You sit on the floor of your hallway for a long time, reading and rereading those words until the ink practically fades from overuse. It's not just a toy anymore. It's a message in disguise. Your dad's last little lesson. Historians still argue whether we grieve better with mementos or with distance. Whether it's the clinging that heals us or the letting go. You decide to cling, but not to pain. To memory, to Marvin. By college, Marvin is still with you, tucked between textbooks and instant ramen noodles. Your roommates tease you, of course. Dude, you brought a tin robot to college? You shrug. Let them laugh. They didn't grow up with a dad who left behind wisdom disguised as whimsy. One roommate tries to wind him up without asking. You snap. Instantly. It's the first time you realize how much that little tin guy means to you. He's not just a childhood toy, he's a survivor. Just like you. Mainstream psychology will tell you that physical tokens of grief can act as grounding tools, small tangible ways to stay connected to intangible love. But Marvin, he's more than grounding, he's guiding. And in your loneliest moments, when everything else feels uncertain, you wind him up and let him stumble forward. 2 clumsy steps. That's all it takes to remind you to do the same. It's not about big hero moments. It's about tiny acts of persistence. Even the most beat-up toy robot can keep going, and so can you. You graduate. Somehow. Despite the bad coffee, worse roommates, and that one stats class you thought would break you. You walk across the stage in a too big gown and slightly too small shoes, and you feel weightless. Your mom cheers. Your friends cheer. But your eyes drift to the sky, to that place you've always imagined your dad still watches from. Back in your apartment, you place your diploma next to Marvin. He looks proud. You start your first job, a bland office with flickering lights and a vending machine that eats your dollars. You feel grown up, but not quite adult, like you're still playing dress-up in someone else's life. And when your boss makes an offhand joke that stings or your inbox fills with anxiety, you come home, set Marvin on your desk, and wind him up. He stumbles 2 steps, still going, still dented, still loud, still here. Your co-workers ask about the toy, some smirk. One even calls it quaint. But a quiet intern, mid-30s, 2 kids, soft eyes, leans over one day and says, "My dad gave me a lucky penny. I keep it in my wallet. Haven't told anyone that in years." You smile. You get it. You start noticing how many people carry tiny totems of love, a worn keychain, a ring on a necklace, a letter folded so many times it's practically silk. Grief, it turns out, is universal, but so is memory. And here's the strange twist. Sometimes Marvin feels more alive than the people around you. Like he's holding more emotion than he should be able to. Like he remembers your dad better than you do. Historians still argue whether physical memory is real, whether objects can carry energy, or if it's all in our heads. But when Marvin clanks forward in the silence of your apartment, it doesn't feel imaginary. Then, life pulls you sideways. One rainy Tuesday, you get a call. Your mom's moving out of the old house. Too many memories, she says. Too many echoes. You drive home that weekend, walk the hallways you once toddled through, and find yourself in your childhood bedroom. The walls are bare now. The poster's gone. The dent in the closet door still there. The one you made trying to skateboard indoors. You open the closet, just out of curiosity, and there he is again. Not Marvin, but a second toy. Same model. Still in the box. your breath catches. It's labeled, "For your kid someday." You sit on the edge of your childhood bed and realize your dad, somehow, thought even further ahead. He didn't just want to leave something for you. He wanted to give you something to pass on. Cue the waterworks. Modern family psychology often emphasizes the importance of emotional legacy, how traits, hopes, and coping tools pass from parent to child. But your dad went literal. He left you a backup Marvin. It's both absurd and perfect. You tuck the box carefully under your arm and tell your mom. She smiles, tight-lipped, like it hurts in a good way. You head back to your apartment. You place the second Marvin beside the first. 2 little robots. One rusty, one pristine. You whisper, "He really planned ahead, huh?" And Marvin wobbles 2 steps like he's nodding. Time doesn't march. It stumbles, spins, and somersaults. And one morning, you wake up next to someone you love more than toast, which is saying something. She snores a little, smells like lavender and leftover pizza. You both laugh too much. You fight about dish soap. You hold hands in line at the DMV. It's real. And someday, maybe, you think, just maybe, you want to build something bigger. So you do. Marriage is not the fairy tale you were sold, but it's better in the messy parts. You keep Marvin on the shelf now. Your partner pretends to roll her eyes at him, but you've caught her winding him up more than once when she thinks you're not looking. Eventually, the apartment grows small. You trade it in for a house with squeaky floors and a yard that stubbornly refuses to grow grass. It's chaotic, wonderful, lived in. Then, the test turns pink. Cue the 9-month countdown of wild cravings, nursery paint samples, and long midnight. Talks about what kind of people you want to be. You both promise not to screw it up too badly. On the day your child is born, you forget how to breathe. The hospital lights buzz overhead. The nurse is a magician. And suddenly, you're holding the softest, angriest, most perfect human burrito you've ever seen. You want to introduce them to the world, but instead, you whisper, "Hi." Back home, between the diapers and the sleepless nights, you remember the second Marvin, still in the box, still waiting. You almost feel silly unwrapping him, like you're passing on a myth. But you do. You wind him once, just once, and place him gently in the crib's corner. Your child stares at him, unfocused, unsure. But you know this will be the start of something. Historians still argue whether legacy is built through grand gestures or quiet repetition. You're leaning toward the quiet part. Years pass. The world spins faster than it should. Your child, now a mini tornado of joy and dirt and noise, calls him Beep. You try to explain the name Marvin, but kids are dictators when it comes to naming things. So Beep he becomes. He's in every backpack, every family photo. Once you nearly lose him at a gas station in Kansas. You swear your heart stops for a solid 30 seconds. But you find him wedged behind a granola bar and a toy dinosaur. Beep becomes more than a toy. He becomes a mascot, a tiny time traveler, carrying a thread from your dad through you into the future. He rattles when he walks now, an old soul in a tin shell. But your kid loves him with wild, unrelenting loyalty. And then one day your kid asks, "Where did Beep come from?" So you sit down and you tell them everything. Not all at once, just a bit. You show them the box, the dented Marvin, the photos, the old notes. You try not to cry, but you fail. Gloriously. Your child hugs you tight and says, "Beep came from love." Yes. Yes, he did. You find yourself reaching for Marvin again. The first one. Still works, still clanks, still standing, and somehow, after all these years, you realize something beautiful. This isn't about toys. It never was. It's about being remembered, about being loved, even after the goodbye. It's about tiny gestures that echo through time. People sometimes say grief fades. Maybe, Or maybe it just transforms, grows wings, wears a new face, rides in the backpack of your child. You look at Beep, at Marvin, at your child's eyes that hold a little spark of the man you lost, and you think, he'd like this. Time again does its strange little trick. It moves without asking. You blink, and your child is suddenly taller than you. They wear shoes 2 sizes too big, listen to music that sounds like robots arguing, and pretend they're too old for toys. But Beep still lives on the bookshelf. He watches quietly from a place of honor. One day, your child doesn't come home for dinner because they've gone off to college. The house feels too quiet. You stand in the doorway of their empty room and stare at the scattered traces of the whirlwind that grew up here. And there, nestled in the corner, is Beep. Not packed, not taken, just left behind. You understand, even if it stings a little. But then comes the text. Hey, can you bring Beep next time? Forgot him. You laugh, you cry, you drive faster than you should. Years pass again, and suddenly your child has a child. Your grandchild has your child's eyes, and your sarcasm, which is both delightful and terrifying. On their first birthday, you do what must be done. You reach deep into the closet and pull out the box. It's time. Marvin number 3, brand new. Still smells like plastic and memories. You give it with a whisper. This one's from your great-grandpa. They don't understand, of course. They grab it with chubby fingers and try to eat it, but that's fine. The legacy begins again. Historians still argue whether the power of family stories lies in their facts or their feelings. You've come to believe it's not either or. It's both. It's the toy, the tears, the telling. You watch the little one toddle across the living room, Marvin trailing behind like an obedient duck, and you smile. Years later, your hands shake a bit more. Your hair is silver, but your voice is steady when you tell the story again. You keep it short, attention spans these days, but they still listen, wide-eyed, silent. And one day, you hear them whispering it to someone else. You close your eyes and rest easy. The room softens now. You feel the quiet settle around you like an old blanket, warm, familiar, forgiving. Somewhere, far from here, a tiny toy takes a few clunky steps forward, its wind-up heart still ticking. It doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to carry love. The story of Marvin, or Beep, or whatever name he earns in the next chapter, reminds us of something simple, something we often forget when the world spins too fast, that the smallest things can hold the biggest feelings, that a piece of tin and paint, passed from hand to hand, can carry laughter, grief, joy, and memory across generations. Tonight, maybe you think about someone you've lost, or someone you've yet to meet. Maybe there's a Marvin of your own, tucked in a drawer. Maybe you're the first link in your chain. That's okay. Legacy doesn't have to be loud. It doesn't have to be grand. Sometimes it's just a toy, just a story, just a heartbeat, echoing softly in the dark. Now, let your breath slow. Let your thoughts drift like leaves in a gentle stream. You are part of something larger, older, kinder than you know. A story still being written, one wind-up step at a time. Good night, dear listener, and remember, you're loved.